Welcome everybody to WagerTalk.com. I will never wear this shirt again. It looks shit on air, but who cares? We got a great show lined up. Tons of actionable betting information coming your way. Leonard will be joining us right off the bat. He's going to look at the Baltimore and Tampa Bay game, the New York Yankees at Kansas City, and he's got a 5% play up in NHL we'll talk about a little bit later. Steve Merril after that, Astros at Giants, and he's got a look-ahead game for tomorrow, the Phillies and the Red Sox, and we're going to end the show with Andy Lang, who's got two prop bets for us, including one NBA and one U.S. Open golf. Teddy covers, what's your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown. We're going to talk to our Rockies and the Twins in MLB, and what bettors learned. We'll talk about a run of overs yesterday, including not one, not two, not three, but four different games going over an extra inning. So we'll talk about that in what bettors learned. Lawrence?
Teddy covers, I've known you for 30 miserable years. You got new glasses, and I think they look great.
Well, thank you. It was, every so often. It's time. It was time.
Dude, the shape's phenomenal. They look better than your old glasses. I like them a lot. Bryan Leonard joining us. The question is, does he have a new hairdo? Last week it was flat. Oh, kind of different. I know Bryan actually called me up one time. He's like, Prez, please stop talking about my hair on air. Bryan, did I listen?
You never listen to anything. And by the way, it's not the shirt that looks like shit.
Touche. Bryan, listen, here, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Same with you, Teddy, and any guest coming on this show. If you don't want me to talk about something, definitely do not ask me to not talk about that thing. That's literally like, I figured you knew that. I figured that you understood that when you told me not to discuss something, you were actually encouraging me to discuss it. So, sorry for the confusion.
I will just say, don't talk about sports gambling any longer.
Okay. In other words, let's get to it. Baltimore at Tampa Bay, brother. 7.5 is the total. Are we going over or under?
This is going to be a really good pitching matchup in Southern Florida tonight. Corbin Burnes takes on Ryan Pepiot, and Burnes has not allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start this season. His shortest starts were earlier in the campaign. Obviously, when you're coming out of spring training, you want to get your momentum out there and pitch it a little bit longer. But yeah, he's done very well. He's gone 5 innings minimum in every start so far this year. And it's his first start of the season against the Rays. And keep in mind, he pitched for the Brewers last year. So the Rays haven't seen him very often, if they've seen him at all. And the advanced numbers for Burnes has been amazing. He's in the 99th percentile in pitching run value, 91st in hard hit rate. He comes in with a 2.26 ERA, 1.02 whip. Tampa's only had a 95 WRC plus on the season. We know what we're going to get out of Burnes and Baltimore. They're going to pitch a really good game here against the Tampa offense, who really hasn't put it together this year. But the key to me here is Ryan Pepiot. I really think he's coming into his own here. He's got a 3.96 ERA, 0.96 whip so far this season, which is really good. But if you take a look at his career, he's been even better. In 27 games, he owns a 3.24 ERA, 1.03 whip in his first 3 seasons. If he was to continue on with that, not get hurt, which has always been his problem, he doesn't have a place in the pitching rotation, he's been very good. He's one of these guys that we can make some money on that a lot of people don't know about. You take a look at what he's done. He's in the 91st percentile in expected batting average, 87th percentile in whiff percentage. The only flaw in Pepiot's repertoire is he's only in the 5th percentile in ground ball percentage. So if he's ever playing in a place that has good fly balls, if he's ever in Cincinnati, New York for the Yankees, that kind of thing, I would have some concerns about him because he doesn't pitch enough ground balls, a lot of fly balls. But in this ballpark, it's not going to matter. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. You can go first 5 here. Would make just as much sense as my full game situation. I like the bullpens for both of these teams too, so I'll go for the full game. But I like the under in both of them. After I sent it to you, the lines moved a little bit. I'm actually seeing 7s in a couple of places right now. But if you can get the 7.5, that's a great number to get.
So Tampa's been trending over. They're 4-1 over their last 5 ball games. Baltimore's been hitting the cover. They're tearing the cover off the baseball. They scored 5 or more in 4 straight and 6 of their last 7. So we have a good lineup for the Orioles and a team that's been trending over in Tampa. Do either of those 2 factors concern you, especially with the heavy juice here now on the 7.5s? You're laying 125 at a lot of books to get the under 7.5 right now.
I'm not a big believer in teams that are trending. It all depends on who you're pitching against and who you're facing. Tampa Bay may have scored some runs, but these are the 2 best pitchers for both pitching staffs at this point. And I think Tampa Bay's got the advantage here of pitching in this ballpark. I'm not big in teams that are if it was something like the NBA, we're going to play the same starting 5 every game, makes a lot of sense. In baseball, depending on the pitcher's lefty or righty, you get a different lineup each and every day. And plus, obviously, you've got different starting pitchers every day. And we don't always know about the bullpens in those games. So there's a lot of different things to handicap here than just looking at something, the recency bias of something like that. It would all depend on who they played in the past. And so that's low on my totem pole of things I look for, Teddy.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. One of the best bettors we know and an excellent guy. Bryan, you've got a 5% layup in NHL tonight. I know these plays are rare for you. Tell everybody why they should. Well, they really shouldn't buy it, Bry. They should buy our promo instead. $77 for 7-day all access. Your play tonight, I know where you thought I was going, Bry. I can't do that live on air. 7 days with $77 all access pass. Bryan's play alone is $35. So if you do plan on betting Bryan's NHL tonight, and I do suggest you do, buy the 7-day all access package instead. Bry, fill us in. What's going on?
Yeah, you really should, and I appreciate that because baseball's going really well, especially on my bigger plays. 3 stars or higher. We're on a 15-3-1 run. Doing very well in that regard with the bigger plays, and we'll be putting up more of those this week. Put out bigger plays when I'm seeing the Cardwell, and obviously we're seeing the Cardwell in the last month of number 2 in profit in Major League Baseball. So the 77 deal is a terrific bargain for a week. Yeah, I don't give out many 5% in the NHL. We've had terrific success in the last 7 seasons doing so, but I haven't had one in 5 weeks, and I'm just not going to force a play just to get it out there. Everything's got to work out well, and I haven't had a lot of plays in the playoffs this year, but I do love this game tonight. I think there's a nice bargain in it, and that's yours for $39, or, as was mentioned, the 77 package is much better if you do bet baseball, because we've been red hot in baseball action.
Wonderful stuff. Let's continue in baseball then. New York Yankees, Kansas City Royals. How do we bet this game?
You know, it seems like every Monday I'm on here and I'm playing against one of the teams that played on Sunday night baseball, and that's what I'm looking for here. Tough scheduling spot for the Yankees, who not only faced the Dodgers at home, huge rivalry, great series, but they played last night on national television. Carlos Rodon is having a very good season, 3.08 ERA, a 1.08 whip, but he hasn't had the same strikeout numbers as we've seen in the past. His current K percentage is only the 59th percentile. Nothing like the younger Rodon, who just 2 years ago struck out 237 batters in 178 innings. Now, this has been good for him, and it's good for the Yankees that he is not throwing as hard, because we saw a lot of guys go down that throw like Rodon normally does, and he's had the habit of getting injured, and now he's taken a little bit off of it. He's not quite as good, especially from the strikeout standpoint, but he still is having a very nice year. And if this is the way to keep him in the lineup, this is the way to go for Yankees fans. They should really enjoy this. But he's been hit harder the last 2 years than any other time in his career. League average is 88.5 for exit velocity. He's been hit at 90.9 and 91.6 the last 2 seasons. So when you do get him, you hit him hard, and that means home runs, and that could be something we could possibly see in this game and looking forward with Carlos Rondon. But Seth Lugo hasn't allowed more than 2 home runs this year with any of his pitches. And considering he throws 8 different pitches, that's pretty impressive. His four-seamer is his most thrown pitch, and he's holding opponents to a 164 batting average with it. His slider and changeup are getting more batters out than last year. Those are what he throws for his second and third most. He throws 8 pitches of at least 4% of the time, so it really keeps the opposition off balance. We've talked about him. He got hit last time out against Cleveland. They hit him pretty well. He got to give up 5 earned runs in 6 innings. But that's really by far his worst start of the season. In fact, he's only allowed 1 earned run, or more than 1 earned run all season long in back-to-back starts. He's bounced back very good. We like Kansas City here. I like the situation that they are in. And we're going to fade the Yankees off that big Dodgers series.
Bryan, Leonard. Bryan, Teddy's got a follow-up. He'll ask it to you in a second. 8 different pitches. Can you name 8 different pitches?
I can name his 8 different pitches.
Slider, 3-finger fastball, 1-finger fastball, 2-finger 8. Go. 8 pitches. Go.
I got a 1-finger fastball for you right now, Prez. Yeah, they don't have 1-finger fastballs, by the way. But you take a look. He's got a 4-seamer. He's got a sinker, a curveball, a slider, the slurve, a cutter.
The slurve?
Yes, and a sweeper. The slurve is a combination of the slider and the curve.
That's
he's got
impressive.
All the speed junk that I love. I missed that comment.
That's impressive. There is that.
Or sliders.
So how many pitches are there altogether? You got the ephus ball as well. Was there like 11 different pitches?
There's a lot of them. A lot of guys use a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer. The ephus pitches you mentioned, the forkball, the knuckleball. There's still the San Diego pitchers throwing the knuckleball with great success.
The cutter?
Yeah.
So instead of wasting time, Bryan, let me ask you a follow-up
question.
question.
Wasting time, Teddy.
But he has a beautiful shirt.
So the Yankees are 8-8 against the AL East, and they're 14-1 against the AL Central. All right. When we think about these two divisions, don't we just want to be playing AL East teams against AL Central teams, not just the Yankees, but in general? Isn't it a much better division? Aren't you getting a cheap price with the better team when your AL East teams are facing AL Central teams?
Other than the Chicago White Sox, AL Central's been a surprise of Major League Baseball this year. Coming into the season, I assumed that Minnesota was going to win this division, but Cleveland has been fantastic in this division. Kansas City has done very well. Detroit's starting to fade a little bit. They don't have a lot of hitting. They've been depending on their pitching all year, but this is actually the best. I understand exactly what you're saying, but this is actually the best AL Central they've had as a division for like the last 4 or 5 years. So it's on the way up. Unfortunately, Chicago White Sox, luckily I'm not a fan of that team, so they haven't done well. But normally when you take a team in your division and you dominate that division, that's a great thing. And that's what the Yankees have done in the past. But this year they haven't done that. A lot of good teams in that division. Actually, Boston's been playing a lot better than what we thought. So 2 very good divisions. The West has been the division that's been a little bit of a mystery to me this year, with Texas just not playing that well. Houston, don't know what's going on with that team. And they had 2 more starters get out hurt for the season. So that could be a season where we don't see the Houston Astros in the playoffs, which is something we can't say has happened very often lately.
Bryan, Leonard, outstanding stuff. Thanks for joining us. Reminder to everyone, Bryan has a 5% play up tonight in NHL. These are very, very rare bets for him. They're the largest bets he makes. So please head over and either grab that or take advantage of our special $77 for 7-day all access. Teddy, before we get into what did bettors learn, some guy in the chat room, Johnny Detroit, he writes, Teddy's looking stylish, even as a do-looking coolio. I would be concerned, dude. He used the word do and coolio, so I'm guessing he's not cool. Guy either got laid last night or there is a new hot girl working at the local coffee place. So which is it, Teddy?
0 for 2. I just got new
and
glasses.
He doesn't
That's
drink
all
coffee.
All right. Every couple of years, I get new glasses. It happens. This time we changed it up a little bit because I've been wearing the same ones for like 10 years. So the same basic frame. So
shout out to everybody in the chat room. Ray, Andrew, Sean. Sean, you're a smart guy, dude. We love having you on here every day. Javier, Mike, Titans, all you guys, Daryl T, Boss Man. Really appreciate you guys joining us live in this chat room. Please, if you don't mind, take a second out of your day, hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated. And in the comment section after the show goes up, name every pitch in baseball. I'm curious how many there actually are. I'm guessing 11 or 12, Teddy. When all said
Are they
and
still
done.
talking about your handicap in the chat? I know that there were lots of questions about your golf handicap on Friday.
Golf handicap, yes. So, for the record, I suck. My golf handicap is a 19. Would I bet my golf handicap? No, because there is a little foot wedge here or there. I have been known to fluff a ball. On the odd occasion, I remove balls from trees, and I have had a mulligan or two along the way. With that said, I try to keep as close to an accurate score as possible, as you can hear. 19. I'm pretty much somewhere around 90 all the time. But I'm only 3 years into serious golfing, and I will get that number under. But hey, Teddy, that's top 10% of golfers. With that said, anybody who tells you that they're hitting an 88 is lying. They tell you they're hitting a 78. That's probably the truth, because guys in those numbers do actually accurately keep their score. But man, it's almost impossible to golf with a person who hasn't floofed their ball a little, Teddy. 19 handicap. What's yours?
So the last time I golfed, I shot a 120. That was in the front 9, and I didn't count my swings and misses.
That's not true.
Yeah, as a buck, I never took a golf lesson. I played golf maybe 3 times in my life. I think I got 2 balls in the air. Mostly it was ground balls with my drives. I have no form. I know nothing. Yeah, it was 120. Dude, I didn't count the swings and misses, and that was front 9. Every putt was a 5
just
putt.
Putted. You should have just putted from the tee. You would have done better. Holy moly. What did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
So the very worst beats come on unders, and that was on full display in MLB yesterday. Extra inning rules, nightmarish for under bettors. First, you had the Twins Pirates, and that looked worse than it was because the game was tied 4-4 after 6. It wasn't staying under 8. It was already over. That said, the Twins scored more runs in the top of the 10th than they'd scored in the 3 previous games combined. 11-5 final from a game that had a push after 9. White Sox, Red Sox under 9.5. That's 4-3 in the 9th. The Sox scored to tie it. Then 2 in the top of the 10th, 6-4 final. That's no fun for under bettors there. 4-3 in the 9th. Can't get under 9.5. No offense the whole game, the A's and the Blue Jays. A's scored 2 on a bloop single. The Jays tied it 3-3 in the 8th. Total 8.5. And what do they do? 3 in the top of the 10th, 1 in the bottom, 6-4 final. Ghost Runner nightmare strikes again. But the worst of the bunch was the Royals Mariners. 3-1, bottom of the ninth. 2 outs, nobody on. Double, home run, tied at 3. Top of the 10th, 2 outs, nobody scored yet. Walk, single. Now it's 6-3. Unders are dead. Royals hit a dinger in the bottom instead of the Mariners winning 3-1. They win 6-5. You were, I think, a pitch or two away from a 3-1 final score. Under, instead, 6-5 cashes over tickets with room to spare. And by the way, overs went 13-2 in MLB yesterday. Worth noting. Also worth noting, every winning streak in baseball got snapped. Every one of them yesterday. The longest current winning streak in MLB this morning. How about the Washington Nationals, who swept the Braves over the weekend? They're tied with the Orioles, who are trying for the 4-game sweep against Tampa this afternoon. So not a good day for under bettors, not a good day for streak bettors on Sunday in baseball. That's what we learned. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
Teddy covers. Thanks for all of that, dude. Lots of love. I'm in a loving mood today. Okay, so for all you golfers, we got the U.S. Open starting this week on Thursday. Andy Lang will have a U.S. Open golf pick for us tonight. Well, today on the show. Nick Borman has been added, late-minute add to Wednesday's show. He'll have a bunch of golf stuff for us, so make sure to join us on Wednesday. Steve Merril joining us now. Steve will be co-hosting, sitting in my chair on Friday, and then all of the following week. Thanks for doing all this, Steve.
So we got to get that handicap down, and I'd like to take credit for that question, by the way, on Friday. I said we would talk about it more on Monday. So I will come up with another great question for the Prez this Friday when he is once again on assignment.
Yeah,
my
but he
goal
will,
for the week.
Remember, he won't be around the following week.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
What's your handicap?
I did forget that. I was a 30 last time I played 20 years ago, and I actually had not hit a golf ball in about 20 years and hit one about a year ago and took a brief lesson. It was the best I ever hit the ball. Withdrawal, crushed it, best I'd ever hit it in 40 years. Was going to play last summer, get the kids playing. I have not hit a ball since. I think subconsciously I wanted to end on that high note. But yeah, it's funny. I started doing other things, more baseball, kickboxing stuff, and I really actually think I probably hit the ball better now. But yeah, golf can be a frustrating sport, and I kind of gave it up decades ago, but need to get back into it.
I don't think there's any more frustrating sport on the planet to actually play than baseball. I mean, you literally just stand around. You're either waiting to hit, so you're standing there for 8 out of 9 batters doing nothing, or you're standing in the field hoping that they hit the ball to you, and maybe you touch the ball 3 times all day. Baseball is the single worst sport to play. You don't get a sweat. You don't do anything. I don't understand it at all. Anyway,
that's why you have to be either the pitcher or the catcher. Got to be the pitcher or catcher to make it fun.
Yeah, nothing like being in squat position all game, just catching someone's ball. Yeah, super exciting. Astros at Giants. How are we betting this game?
Yeah, talk a lot about this on Friday's baseball shows, and I'll be on here Monday with Dan Alexander at 2 Eastern. I'm actually doing the Monday and Friday shows this week, and an angle I've been using a lot on Friday is that, road favorites in game ones are kind of a short list play for me because they're usually focused. They're on the road. We're getting a discounted price, and then we can have some other subsets that make it even better. And when home teams are coming off a road trip, I like it even more. And that's kind of the setup in this game tonight on Monday, and that's Houston at San Francisco. Giants return home after being on the road last week at Arizona and Texas. Mediocre. They kind of split out on the road trip, but overall they're not in good current form. They've lost 7 of their last 10. Offensively, they've been very challenged at times this year. But Houston is a team that was a pure fade the first couple months of the year, but they still have World Series pedigree and caliber. And what really hurt them early on was the bullpen. Horrific bullpen numbers early this season. But Bryan, Leonard, and I actually talked about this a lot in April and May, that they still had a lot of the key pieces in that bullpen, and some of those stats are misleading. And that's definitely turned out to be the case because if you look, Houston now has a 3.7 ERA, a 1.27 whip, and that's after the terrible start. Their numbers have been even better the last couple of months with the bullpen. So I do think this is maybe a play-on team now. They have won 4 of their last 6. They're hitting the ball well. They've had double-digit hits in 5 of those last 6 games. And I think this is a focused spot. I disagree with the early money coming in on the Giants. Houston opened 125 overnight. It's down to 115 now. I think there's value, and it's a good situational spot with the Astros tonight at 9:45 Eastern.
So you talked about the success of the Astros bullpen. Of course, Houston's bullpen cost them another game yesterday. Presley gets bombed in the 8th. Hader gets bombed in the 9th. And those are the 2 guys that Houston absolutely needs to close out games at the end. Both of them got used up last night. Both gave up multiple runs. Does that concern you here? Would you look at a first 5 instead of a full game based on the potential for Houston to have bullpen concerns again this evening?
Well, Teddy, I think that's actually one of the reasons this line has dropped from 125 to 115. It's a little bit of concern there with the closers. Eric Getty's getting the start also. He is not likely to go very deep. So I think that's the one concern here, and I do agree that's why we saw some early money come in against Houston. But once again, not a good spot for San Francisco. And Harrison's been very mediocre this season, the starter for the Giants. In fact, his last 5 outings, he's given up at least 3 earned runs or more in every one of those outings. And he's only gone past the 5th inning once in those 5 outings. So could be a high-scoring game. Maybe we look at the over as well. You're talking me into an over 8 opinion also in this game now.
Steve Merril joining us. Steve, it feels to me or looks to me like you have built up your background. There seems to be a whole lot more
We occasionally rearrange
baseball.
the hats. Yeah, we occasionally rearrange. I've actually got about 20 back there, and half of them are covered. And on the to-do list the last couple of summers is to put some shelves up. And I'll tell you what, Prez, you know what my best collectible is? I've got every NHL hockey puck from the 80s and early 90s. And I actually made a wooden rack in high school to put them on.
What does that mean? Every NHL hockey puck, like ever in the history of the NHL? I don't understand.
So like every time I'd go to a Capitals game in the 80s, early 90s, I'd get a different team. And I have about 30 of them. So every team that was playing in the early 80s and 90s, the Nordiques, Hartford Whalers, for example, there's some cool ones, the old Penguins logo. Problem is, I don't think it would show too well in the TV background, but that is a one prop I would love to get up in the back there. The hockey pucks, they've been in storage now for about 20 years, along with my golf clubs.
There we go. Let's talk Tuesday baseball. Phillies at Red Sox. Where are we going here?
Yeah, we always do sometimes daytime games for the live viewers, but we never consider those late night viewers that miss all the games on Monday. So we're going to do a Tuesday game here, but I had to talk about this situational spot. Baseball in general, we talk about pitchers a lot. You know, I did kind of use a situational spot with the Monday game that we just discussed, but this is a horrific scheduling situation for Philadelphia. Dan Alexander's Philadelphia Phillies, and we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, today on the Monday baseball show and also Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern live here on WagerTalk TV. But the Phillies just had to, in my opinion, a ridiculous 2-game series in London. They don't play Friday. The Mets and Phillies play Saturday and Sunday. Now they travel back, probably traveled late last night. They're getting back today on Monday, and they have to go straight to Boston for 3 games and then straight to Baltimore after that. Now, the Mets do return home and have a home game. Probably not a great setup for them either. But the reason I want to fade the Phillies here particularly is because they have the best record in baseball. They're technically tied with the Yankees, but they've played 2 less games. So they have a .692 win percentage. That's not going to hold. They need to lose games at some point. We all know that. If there's ever maybe a sell sign, we started to see it the last couple of weeks. The Phillies kept winning. They had 7 hits or less in the majority of those games. Their offense has been cooling off. Now the distraction, the travel back and forth within 4 days to London for 2 spotlight games. This just has letdown written all over it. Wheeler's on the mound. He has been strong this year. Maybe the under is worth a look, too, if Wheeler pitches well. I just think the Phillies' offense is going to struggle. Phillies' team total under might be one way to play it. But I'd be very careful with the Philadelphia Phillies starting tomorrow on Tuesday and really this entire week. You know, at some point they're going to cool off. And, boy, this sure looks like a good catalyst to make that happen.
So I was talking about this same concept on a radio show that I do down in South Florida about, hey, look, Philadelphia have to cool off sometime. You know, they played and yet all they do is keep winning. I know they lost yesterday, but the Phillies off a loss have been money. I think they have the best record in baseball, the second best record in baseball off a loss this year, and they do have a day off to acclimate. And it's not like Fenway's been any good for the Red Sox in recent years. Does any of that concern you here?
The other thing that's interesting about this, Teddy, though, is I've been going back and forth on this. It's an interleague game. It's not a normal National League park where they go every year. The last time they were in Fenway was 3 years ago in 2021. They played the games against the Red Sox at home last year. Two ways to look at that. Maybe that gets them sparked up because it's another big venue that they don't normally go to. If the Phillies show well tomorrow, it might be even a better fade on Wednesday or Thursday. So we probably could just fade them all week and make money. I do think at some point they hit the ground. They could have a little bit of carryover tomorrow and Tuesday's game, especially with Wheeler on the mound and being in Fenway. Maybe that's enough to keep them awake. But I think if they do win tomorrow, this is one of those piggyback plays. You play against them tomorrow. If you don't win, you probably play against them on Wednesday and get it back. I just think this is the cool-off indicator we've been waiting for. And, yes, they keep winning, but the offense was not hitting the ball the last couple of weeks for the most part. Their pitching has been what's been getting them by. So that's another reason Phillies team total under could be worth a look, or the game under, because the Phillies pitching has been very good, and maybe the travel doesn't affect Wheeler as much because he didn't have to play.
Stephen Merril, what do you got to promote?
We have a 7 days for 77 special right now at WagerTalk.com. Boom, look at that. Dan the man, the great Alexander, knew it before I even said it. 7 days for 77. It's normally $99. You do the math. 7 days for 77 is $11 a day. I average 2 to 3 plays a day. That's about $5 a play for the next week. That gets obviously every baseball best bet every day and night. But don't forget about the NBA Finals. You're getting at least 2 to 3 NBA Final games this week with that package. And also the NBA remains number one this year and number one all-time, units one in the NBA. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And, oh, by the way, free plays every day. If you can't afford the $11 a day, then maybe a free play will get you going. Check out my daily free plays, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Love having you on this show, Steve. Kick ass tonight. Teddy, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about before we throw to your big game breakdown. So you want to know how good a handicapper or a betting predictor Carmine Bianco is? I'm playing cards with him last night in a poker tournament at my friend's house. A couple of callers, Carm calls. I'm in position. I look down at sevens. I'm like, okay, I bet 3.5x. Comes back, guy folds, other guy folds, comes back to Carm. Carm goes, well, I have a set, so I have to call. There's no flop. He doesn't have a set. He's like, I have a set, I have to call. He's got a pair of fours. Flop comes, 4. He checks. I bet. He goes, well, I have quads, so I have to bet turn 4. Unbelievable work from Carmine Bianco. Kicked my ass. So guys out there are saying, Prez, host a golf tournament. My kids say that I am the world's best delegator, and I consider that my superpower. Everybody has one thing that they're really, really excellent at. Delegating is my thing. So with that said, I'm game. Let's do a poker tournament in Vegas. I don't know, early November seems like a good time for me. Plus, it'll be cool and good golfing weather. So in keeping with my delegation skills, Sean Alvarez, want to put together a Prez-hosted tournament in Vegas in November? And you guys, let me know if you actually will come, because I don't want to go to the trouble of delegating to Sean Alvarez. That's a lot of trouble to put a tournament together that nobody shows up to. So let us know if there is serious interest in a Prez-hosted golf tournament organized by Sean Alvarez. Teddy Covers, what's your big game breakdown?
In November, mind you. And one of those times where every sport's going at the same time when everyone's got.
Frick, dude. You can't just leave it be. Fine. In
you roll,
end of
Prez.
September.
You.
End of September. You guys tell us, when do you want Prez to host a golf tournament that Sean Alvarez is going to organize?
Probably May would be a good time. Next May. Let's do a big game breakdown and talk some MLB for Monday. The Minnesota Twins and the Colorado Rockies. Right now, look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Minnesota, let's call them minus 230, minus 240. There's minus 250s out there. Take back on Colorado, plus $2. Total 8.5 juice to the under or 8 juice to the over, depending on where you shop. And honestly, the thought process here is as simple as it gets. Minnesota shouldn't be laying this price, period. They've lost 10 times as a favorite since the first week of May. 4 of those losses have come at minus 150 or higher. They're just 4-4 at minus 150 or higher during that span. All right, this team's been as streaky as any team in baseball this season. They're 1-5 their last 6 games. All right, their bats are cold. They were shut out back-to-back games over the weekend. The bullpen just used every high leverage arm yesterday. Starter Chris Paddock, he's got 1 quality start in his last 6 trips to the hill. And he's given up 6 home runs his last 6 starts. He's struggling with the over ball. This is not a pitcher to lay $2 with. This is not a team to lay $2 with. It $2.40, $2.50? Not for this better. The Rockies are an interesting story, all right, because they stink, and we know they stink. And today's starting pitcher stinks, and Colorado's bullpen's bad, and they can't hit, and all that. All right. When you have a team that everyone knows they stink, including the wise guys, there's no wise guy money coming for Colorado these days. The public's not betting on Colorado very often. Bookmakers are really struggling to attract any Colorado money. What happens in that instance? They raise the price for the favorites, give a bigger return ROI for the underdog. And it's surely worth noting that the Rockies, very reasonable. They're 7-9 in their last 16 road games. They've cashed every one of those games at an underdog price. 6 of those 7 wins on the road during this span have come at plus 180 or higher, including a pair at St. Louis over the weekend. Look, I'm not going to tell you Colorado's good. I'm not going to tell you I expect them to win. That said, I expect them to win more than 1 out of every 3 times given this matchup, and that's what they're paying us. The price is right. Give me Colorado plus 200 in a game where I feel that they're live. Lawrence, there's your big game breakdown.
Brilliant.
Back to you,
Fantone24 agrees with you 100%. Guys, in keeping with my Carmine Bianco story, his Euro 2024 soccer betting preview is up. It's on this channel, WagerTalk TV. It is hosted by Kelly. It is an exceptional video. Carm knows soccer like he knows quads. Andy Lang joining us, everyone. Andy, anything to add so far to this wonderful show? And I hope you're not wearing red.
Nope.
Blue.
Changed.
Were you wearing red?
Yeah, I put on a red shirt because I recorded props and parlays today earlier wearing red. Threw the red shirt on, saw you wearing red. Nope, got to change it. Wearing blue.
Okay, anything to add so far? You're going to come to a Prez-hosted golf tournament with a trophy that looks like that?
In November?
I'd come to the golf tournament. I'm going to Portugal for a golf trip here in a couple months, so looking forward to that. I'd show up for a golf trip. What's
your handicap?
My swing. My putting, it's none of it's good. It's going to be a lot of working on the swing, and not that there's any pressure. I'm playing with 2. It's a big group. There's like 10 of us. 2 of them are from Ireland. They grew up playing with Rory McIlroy, so no pressure here. Yeah, but
sure,
we'll see how it goes. Probably not going to go very well, but we're not there for the golf. We're there for the fun.
Okay. Andy, let's get into it, man. We got about 6 minutes left of the show. One thing about you is that you only need 2, so feel free to take all 6. Drew Holiday, over 10.5 rebounds and assists, minus 110. That's a play you like for Wednesday. Tell us why.
I'm pretty surprised they haven't moved off this number. It was 10.5 in the last game. He had 11 rebounds, so he didn't even need the assists. And he's been really, really good. The stats have looked great. Eye test have looked even better. But we're just talking about stats. He's gone over in 8 out of the last 9 games, 13 and 14 in the first 2 games of the series. And in these games, he's averaging 9.5 potential assists and 16.5 rebound chances. So he is very much involved in the rebounding for the Celtics. He's very much involved in passing the ball for the Celtics, and they have not shot the ball particularly well from threes. He's had a lot of potential assists that haven't turned out to go their way. The Celtics were pretty terrible from 3-pointers in game 2. So if Boston starts shooting a little bit better from threes, I would expect a few more assists. I'm really surprised that they came out with 10.5 rebounds and assists again. This was the number in game 2. So we'll lock it in now for Wednesday in game 3. And it's one of my favorite plays in this game.
So my clients and I cashed a pretty easy winner yesterday with the under in game 2 of Mavs Celtics. And certainly the first 2 games of this series have been low possession games. You're not getting fast break buckets. We're not seeing either team play with a whole lot of pace. And therefore, we're seeing fewer possessions, both games staying under by double digits. Conceptually, do you want to be betting overs in a series that is 2-0 to the under, both by double digits, where the pace has been slow and the opportunities haven't been there? Player props going over hasn't gone so well so far in the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. Are we expecting that to change in game 3?
No, it's you kind of pick your spots. I mean, Kyrie unders have been really good with his points, rebounds, assists. Those have been great. Porzingis was a great under in game 2. Jason Tatum has not been exactly lighting it up. He was an easy under in his points, rebounds, and assists. There are good under spots and good over spots in this one. I'm staying away from the points with Drew Holiday. He had a 26-point performance. That's not totally his game here. So even though the games are going under, poor shooting, good defense, that leads to some rebounds. And I do think that Boston is going to get out of their 3-point shooting funk. They were pretty bad in game 2. I feel like Dallas really let them off the hook with that one. But they start hitting their threes at a much better rate. Holiday should get some overs here. I agree with you, though, when you got these low-scoring games, you're looking at unders. And I would still keep taking Kyrie Irving unders, definitely Porzingis unders, now that it looks like he may have re-aggravated that injury a little bit. And if Tatum doesn't get out of his shooting funk, those unders will be cashing as well. So there's good spots for unders. This just happens to be one that I particularly liked over. And I'm typically an under better. All my NHL props are under. So this is kind of saying a lot that I'm going over for this one.
Andy Lang joining us, everyone. Andy, Teddy, I was on Dallas last night, +7. Why wasn't that foul challenged? Like it was 2 fouls. There were 2 fouls on the same play that would have taken the game to 3 and created a whole lot of drama for the fandom out there. 2 fouls, same play. Refs totally screwed that up. I thought you can challenge this stuff.
Teddy, why don't you take this
one? If you have challenges left, you can.
Oh, they didn't have. Okay, so I only put it on in the 4th quarter. I was watching a movie, so they had no challenges left.
It's the finals, and the coaches still haven't figured out how to appropriately use their challenges. It's pretty amazing that you would use a challenge early in the game and completely blows. Yeah, they blew it. They blew it on their challenges, so they didn't have any.
Okay. Well, the refs blew it too, but it was a push, and about a minute before that push, I was praying for a push. So it was a happy push. Andy, Colin Morikawa, how do we bet him in the U.S. Open?
Oh, man, tale of 2 seasons for Colin Morikawa. This is the U.S. Open week, an incredibly hard course they're going to play at Pinehurst. This should be an awesome event for golf. And then we had the Scotty Scheffler coming off of another win. We have the U.S. Open this week, and then we have another huge event next week. So Colin Morikawa, we're going to take him to finish top 20. Bad start to the season. He was terrible. He finished 16th or better in 6 straight tournaments, though, in the last 9 weeks. So was really struggling to make any push. Now he's finishing in the top 10. He just took 2nd place, went toe-to-toe with Scotty Scheffler. And you just have to look at his putting. Before his good winning streak, or for his good hot streak, he hasn't won any tournaments yet, but he was minus 0.44 strokes gained putting. In the last 6 events, he's plus 0.61. So it's all about putting. He's fixed his stroke. He's seeing it a lot better. And now he's finishing inside the top 15 easily every week. I also don't trust the competition. Rory McIlroy can't seem to put together 4 good rounds. The live guys that are coming over have not made a splash. John Rahm is hurt. There's just not a lot of guys who are really pushing to consistently finish inside the top 20 outside of Scheffler and Schauffele. So Colin Morikawa is riding the hot putter. Top 20 at minus 130, minus 140 is a great way to play this one.
Andy Bam Golf writes, Prez, ask Andy if it's worth betting Scotty pre-tournament for the U.S. Open or wait to bet him live after round one.
Oh man,
So hard to bet him with this.
It's so hard. He's like 2.5 to 1. These are Tiger Woods in his prime numbers. I'm not fading him though. And the worst thing that can happen is if you try and wait on him, what if he's the first round leader? Now he's going to be minus 160 to win. I'm not betting against him, but at the same time, I'm not betting on him to win the tournament outright. It's a stay away. That's all it is. It's just a stay away.
And I agree. And I think the way to bet this is what Andy was talking about. Some of these guys finishing top 20 or top 5 or top 10 and try not to figure out who's going to win this tournament because it's Scotty versus the field. Andy Lang, what do you have to promote?
5% play of the week is up. This we're going for our third play of the week win in a row. We hit our 5% easily last week, and it was a cross sport parlay, and one of the parlay pieces involved Scotty Scheffler. So we rode that one to an easy win. Pretty low volume this week, but this is a week where we're only going to need a few plays to do some damage here, and it starts with this 5% play. Go grab that one. We're 16-7 in our last 23 plays, and we're 19-9 in these. So these have been really, really good. We hit a 4% play of the week 2 weeks ago, hit a 5% last week. So we're looking to make it 3 big-time wins in a row. So 5% play, that's what I have to promote. That's what I'll be riding hard this week.
Andy Lang, thank you, my friend Teddy Covers. We're done. Shout out to Bryan, Leonard, Steve Merril, and Andy Lang. Dan, our kick-ass producer, and his boss, Joe. Teddy, we'll see you tomorrow. Take us home.
Sounds like a plan to me. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. Like Lauren says, we'll do it tomorrow. Same time, same channel, noon for you back east, 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.